The XX lineup from Anbernic is one of the fastest growing lineups of retro gaming consoles around. What started off as an imitation of the Mii Mini has grown into a range of consoles which pay homage to the classics like the Gameboy Advance SP, to consoles which try to cover every style of ergonomics and portability imaginable to give consumers absolute choice. But the two XX consoles that stand out for me head and shoulders above the rest are the 35XX SP and the 28XX. But which out of these two is the best XX console? Now, when the 28XX first came out and got announced, it didn't really catch my eye. It felt to me like it was just another XX console being churned out for the sake of it. It came off the back of the 35XXH, the first horizontal XX console, and it felt like the 28XX was just a baby version of that lost the analog sticks. Smaller screen, fewer controls, to me it just didn't seem like a good idea. Whereas when the 35XX SP was announced, this felt like a console I'd been waiting for ages. The original Gameboy Advance SP is one of my favourite consoles of all time. I love clamshell designs, I even loved flip phones when they were a thing, and the style and portability of the Gameboy Advance SP was just fantastic at the time, and just seems like such a perfect idea in this new golden age of gaming handhelds. From the outset, the 35XX SP looked to be ticking every box we could want it to. In terms of the look, style and feel of the console, it felt like a near perfect match for the Game Boy Advance SP, so much so that it looks like it was created in a Nintendo factory. On top of that, with the XX lineup providing gameplay options all the way up to the PlayStation 1, N64 and Dreamcast generations, this felt like a perfect retro handheld. And when my 35XX SP finally arrived, it lived up to the dreams. It felt as good as it hoped. It played as well as I hoped it would. And the screen just looks fantastic. Any Game Boy Advance aficionados out there know that we always want the AGS 101 with that extra lit screen. The classic Game Boy Advance SP screen is just a little bit dull and hard to see in bright light. But the 35XX SP is like the Game Boy Advance we've always wanted at a fraction of what it costs to get an AGS 101. I was so excited for the 35XX SP and instantly it lived up to my dreams. But just as quickly, it ended up on my shelf, and it's kind of stayed there ever since. Whereas in comparison with the 28XX, I was never going to buy one, but a small company reached out to me to see if I'd be interested to review one, so I said yeah, of course. The 28XX arrived and I didn't really have high hopes, but as soon as I picked it up, there was just something special about the 28XX. It didn't feel like a gimmick. It didn't feel like just a little cashing console. It felt like this thing actually had a lot more beneath the surface than meets the eye. Yes, the 28XX comes with a smaller screen, a 2.8-inch screen, as opposed to a 3.5-inch screen. Yes, the buttons are smaller in comparison to the rest of the XX lineup. And also, it doesn't have the analog sticks of a 35XXH. But over the past few months of having the 28XX, these things have never been an issue, not for one single second. At no point in time have the buttons ever felt too small. At no point in time have I needed analog sticks to enjoy the games I want to play on the 28XX. And at no point in the time has the screen felt too small. Somehow, it just manages to engross me and keep me entertained for as long as I'm playing it. Now don't get me wrong, technically, the 35XX kind of does everything better. It does have a bigger screen, it does have bigger buttons, it is a clamshell so you can close it to protect the screen, and it is incredibly pocketable. But there's just something about the 28XX that makes it the console that I pick up every single time. It makes it the console that I slide in my pocket and have with me pretty much every single second of the day. Now I've done week-long challenges for the 35XX SP and the 28XX as well, which you can check out to see how those consoles fared over the period of a week where they would be my exclusive consoles. And don't get me wrong, the 35XX SP was phenomenal. It was absolutely amazing to use, and it is still an absolute pleasure for me to pick up and play and enjoy. I do love that machine, but the 28XX just feels like it was designed to be by my side all the time, to be the console that I will always have with me for any single second I get a chance to play some games. And it doesn't feel like I'm limited to just 16-bit or 8-bit games or games that work better on a small handheld device. This thing can easily play PS1, N64 and Dreamcast games and give you an absolutely immersive experience. At no point during that week-long challenge did I ever feel like I was wanting more and needing to jump over to another console. And since the challenge was completed, the 28XX has been the console that I have used the most. As a matter of fact, the 28XX is the console I've used the most since I got it over the past 3 months. Now for me to explain to you exactly why that is, I don't honestly know if I can. Like I said, The 35XX SP feels technically like it does everything better, but the 28XX feels like it's just in that Goldilocks zone. It hits that perfect range of pocketability, but still providing an awesome video game experience. And it genuinely feels like it's hit the sweet spot of that perfect retro gaming handheld console that you can literally carry with you everywhere you go. And for no second does it get in the way, or does it feel a bit cumbersome, or you worry about dropping it, or any of those things that you might end up feeling at any point carrying around any of the other retro gaming handheld consoles. And for any of the competition to the 28XX at a similar size or even smaller, well, those consoles always feel a little bit too difficult to enjoy a full video game experience on. There's something about the 28XX that just hits that sweet spot, and it's a bit difficult to exactly describe what that is until you really get it in your hands. But the XX lineup doesn't show any signs of slowing down. As a matter of fact, there are more consoles coming as we speak. And it's really exciting now to see where this XX range is going. A range which I thought was at first a bit of a gimmick, but now is the range that I'm most excited to see what Anbernic bring out. If you really want to see what the 28XX was like as my exclusive console over a week, check out this video right here.